It's another Monday.
It is another Monday.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well.
Good.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'd put it in a pretty well. Yeah. It's another overcast day. Forecast is for some bitter cold up ahead.
We've got February this week starting, which is always a hurdle. It's been feeling a little too much like spring some days around here with like the ground softening up.
Yeah.
And it's still so far to go.
There's a lot of winter still to be had. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
It is what it is.
You're wearing one of my favorite sweaters.
Yes, this is my grand. I don't know what you would call it. What's a good name for your big accomplishment?
Yeah, the mountain that you climbed?
Yeah, the mountain that I climbed that I never wear, but I don't actually have all that many sweaters that I knit, so it'll come into rotation for the Millcast.
But it's just so cool because it's the first yarn that you made.
Yes, it's the first yarn that Peggy and I both made together when we were getting trained on our spinner.
Yeah.
I don't know. 2.5 years ago now. Oh my gosh, our anniversary is coming up.
Our anniversary is coming up, but this is and natural dyes.
Yeah, marigold dyes. I didn't grow the marigold myself, but I bought the dried flowers from
forget
Maywa.
it. Then there's nothing big to talk about. You didn't grow the marigolds. Jeez.
What are you wearing?
I actually am wearing a sweater that's about 10 years old. When I first moved here from Chicago, didn't know a soul. Didn't know where the yarn shops were, and I stumbled into Hodgepodge, which is south of here.
Yeah, I bought my spinning wheel there.
And it's a very funky house turned into a yarn store, and I'm wandering around and I see this yarn, and I'm like, boy, I just love all the different colors. And I go to check out, and there's a group of women spinning over in the corner, and I'm now checking out with the owner, and someone in the group goes, well, Sue must really like you. And I had no idea what they were talking about. Well, it turns out Sue actually hand spun this.
Oh.
And I didn't realize I was going through her pile of yarn she had hand spun.
Huh.
And I got a little thrown. I didn't know what I was supposed to say. I wasn't trying to steal it. But anyway, I got it and went home and knit this up. And
it's beautiful.
I just loved it. But that was a long time ago.
I like those colors a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe we should use that as inspiration for
that's a good idea.
Another making tracks.
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of is our Aurora Borealis, but with a really strong red.
Right, red instead of the turquoise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Anyway, that's what I'm wearing.
I like the style too. It feels like you can just.
Yeah, I think I just got lazy and did the 3/4 sleeve, but yeah.
It's nice.
But once again, no buttons.
Who needs buttons?
Yeah, exactly.
This wasn't supposed to have buttons, and so it doesn't. But somewhere I have a shawl pin. I thought it was on
it's
here.
there somewhere. I saw it before you sat down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anything else now?
Well, we had an exciting week at the mill.
Oh, yes, we did. Yes, we did. Our week ended kind of in a cool way.
Yeah. Oh, actually, before that, we had on the agenda, I was going to discuss the very exciting topic of dry skin knitting injuries.
Oh, injury? Really?
I will call this an injury. I was knitting with my very sharp, what do you call them, the Chicagao? Whatever needles. I love them.
Yep.
They're wonderful. They're like surgical needles. And my hands are just constantly dry in the winter. Combination of working in the mill and just it being winter, always changing diapers, so I'm washing them all the time, and I cannot find a good lotion to try. And I actually ordered one that is like has lanolin in it that I think we can talk about next week if it works or not. But anyways, so I'm knitting, and I just poked myself enough times in the same spot right on my index finger that there's now it's finally healing, but there's a little spot that made it very difficult to knit for several days. So I was just going to bring it up to say, has anyone else experienced this? Is this a common problem? What do you do about it? I have a little chapstick type tube that I bought that's specific to knitting that I rub on it a little bit.
Could you not, if you put a Band-Aid on it?
I could have put a Band-Aid on it.
Is this because you're pushing?
Yeah, sometimes it just, actually it's because what is it, continental knitting where you have it in your
Continental
right
is when
hand?
you're carrying it in the left hand.
Okay, well, I'm doing whatever it is when you carry it in your right hand.
Right.
And when I flick it, sometimes I hit the needle.
Oh, okay.
Not every time, and that's probably not what I'm supposed to be doing, but occasionally I hit it, and just enough times with the sharp needle and the dry skin that, you get it. Knitting injury.
Sorry about that.
It's been a bummer, but now it's healing a little bit. I was able to finish. Well, I'll talk about that later. Finish my project.
Finished your project. Very good. Very good.
Anyways, so would be curious to hear from the audience out there.
Yeah.
You all have a lot of interesting feedback always. So what do you do about your knitting injuries for the sharp needles this time of year?
Right, and also, do you have a great recommendation if you're really battling with dry skin? My skin's dry, but I think it's more an issue for you.
Yeah, my hands are constantly dry. And one thing that does work is bag balm, but it's petroleum based.
Yeah.
So I don't love using that.
I didn't realize it was petroleum
It's petroleum and lanolin. So
Okay.
I'd love to find a not petroleum.
Right.
Anyways.
You're reminding me. There's a lot of people wonder whether we save the lanolin when we're scouring.
That is a good.
And we don't. We're not set up to do that. And most mills that are processing wool to make, to make yarn, are not set up to capture the lanolin. That's really a very different process. If we were a company just doing scouring, we could probably have a system and a mechanism of capturing the lanolin. But we do not capture the lanolin.
Yeah. I think Clara Parks writes about that a bit in her Vanishing Fleece book, for those of you interested in reading about knitting.
That's a great read.
Yeah, it is a great read. And we have more on reading
later
on. But
first,
when my brain is on the agenda,
that's okay.
We had the local television, well, I should say local, the state television, come by to do a little interview with us on Friday, WCAX.
WCAX. They have a series called Made Here. I think it's something like Made Here.
Made in Vermont,
I'm not sure it says Made in Vermont because they also broadcast in upstate New York. I could be wrong, but I think it's Made Here, but we're going to find out. And it's going to be on February 6th at 6 o'clock, but it was very fun to have the camera crew come in, 2 women. There's a reporter and... I thought a rather badass camera person.
She was great, and she came in hauling this giant
she had a giant camera,
giant tripod. It makes our little Millcast setup look so puny.
Yeah, but you're seeing a little example there of them here shooting. They did a little interview, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and I think we did a good job getting the mill set up for it because we've been in the middle of our making track storm, but we really wanted to show off, the start to finish.
Right.
Local wool, so we have some local wool going through the
But
mill.
the other thing is, we're in the mill, we're doing our thing, and then you realize you have company coming. You're like, oh God, you could write your name on almost every surface here. So while I was spinning the day before, I'm going around with the green clean stuff and dusting down and wiping down and the windowsills. I don't know that they even noticed, but I was so...
They probably still look filthy.
I'm sure to them, but there was quite a layer that got picked up. It's a dirty business, what can I say?
Yeah, it is.
It's dusty.
It's dusty, but thankfully I don't feel us breathing it in very much.
No.
Only certain fleeces we work with. It tends to be big enough particles, they just sort of fall down.
Right.
But yeah, we do need it's good to have company every now and then, is what I'm saying.
It's just like at home.
Yeah.
Company gets you to clean your act up a little bit.
Yeah, so we're here in a kind of clean mill on this Monday morning.
So we'll let you know when that, it's definitely February 6th, and then it'll be on their website, and we'll share the link.
Yep.
So that was good.
Yeah.
But speaking of media...
Yes, great segue.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if you in the knitting community also had friends sending you this, you've got to see this op-ed piece.
I got it from 2 people.
I got it from 3 people, and all kind of bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
It's an op-ed piece in a relatively recent New York Times. It wasn't in the Sunday section, which Todd usually goes into town and buy, and I was slumming through it thinking I could hold it up, but I can't.
Yeah, it's called The Revolutionary Power of a Skein of Yarn by Peggy Orenstein, who just has a book out called Unraveling, What I Learned About Life While Shearing Sheep, Dyeing Wool, and Making the World's Ugliest Sweater,
right?
Which I saw was in our local bookstore. I didn't pick up a copy, but I'd love to hear from you all if you've read the book. What do you think?
Great. It's a great title.
It is. Great name.
Great name, Unraveling.
I was going with Peggy.
Oh, Peggy. Well, yeah. And is she a Margaret? In the op-ed piece, they had a great piece of artwork that went along with it that I'm hoping we can share with you, which is basically the fist in a fabulous pink mitten.
I wonder who knit that. I bet we could figure it out.
I don't know. The artist who created the image is Chelsea Cardinal.
Okay.
And I went onto her website to see if she was a knitter.
Yeah.
And I didn't see that. And I looked in really closely. To my eye, it looked like somebody knit it. But
it's very intricate.
It's very intricate.
Cables, it's bright pink, it's
yeah,
great.
it's totally cool.
But yeah, the article is sort of about the history of knitting as like a sort of political statement, doing it in sort of a means of rebellion and subversion, which I found, I think it wasn't news to me.
Right.
But I think for the greater community, which, the people that I got this article from were not necessarily knitters. They were just New York Times readers who thought of me as their token knitting friend.
Right. And there's the stereotype of, little old ladies with their knitting needles, and it's kind of a sexist image. And this was sort of saying it's actually not that at all, and it hasn't been ever. Anyway, it was a very fun read.
Yeah, I mean, she makes the point that, like, of course it can have, the health benefits and it's relaxing to some and all that, but just, the undercurrent of people taking up their knitting needles to sort of give their voice to things.
And to have an impact, whether it was socks for men at war or a certain kind of hat that you'd wear at a political rally.
I mean, that sort of led me to the question of, like, well, why do I knit, in a way? And I thought maybe we would... I don't know, could chat about that for a minute, but I'll go first since I'm springing that up.
Yeah.
But she had said this in her article, but just about how, it's pushing back on the, she has a quote, dehumanizing technology and consumer culture, which that actually really spoke to me. Sometimes I do question, why do I sit here and knit for so many hours on end? Like, part of it is that I have a lot of anxiety and it gives my hands something to do while my body relaxes.
Right.
But definitely what keeps me going is I kind of, it's just a lot more meaningful to me to have a garment that I made myself that I can put on and I can feel really proud of it and know, and like as I've gotten farther into it, not only did I knit it, but maybe I've raised the wool or a friend of mine raised the wool or I at least know where it came from. And of course, now we've got the mill, so it just goes deeper and deeper on the level of my personal involvement. But I think there's something magical to, buying some yarn or, making some yarn that you know where it came from. It's not tied to these global supply chains necessarily. And then, or even if it is, like you're making a garment still that you're knitting from scratch. And you can wear it and it kind of gives a finger to the large scale fashion industry.
There you go. I do think the made from scratch has always resonated with me, which I think is your point. And I've been knitting, kind of on and off since I was maybe 12 years old. And the control and the I did it, and then as you get proficient, like with a foreign language, there's a real joy and just a rhythm that when you're clicking along. Yeah. It just feels great.
Yeah, sometimes it just feels good.
Yeah, it does.
Sometimes you could just be like, there was a woman once that came into an open house here. We opened during COVID, so we don't know any life without COVID, but she came in, she was a school teacher, so she had a very stressful time with the pandemic. She said, I'm just making swatches right now. She was just knitting squares. She didn't know what she was going to do with them. She just needed to knit squares. And sometimes I have that feeling. Yeah. And I generally at least take a little bit of effort to find a pattern that's basically just stockinette. I can go. Yeah, but there are times I want, and then there's times I want to knit like a cable monster.
Over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's your brooch.
Yeah, there's my fit. Yeah. So I think there is something to just sitting down and feeling the fiber, the yarn go through your fingers.
Absolutely, and nothing against nylon or polyester, but there's nothing like wool.
Yeah, I know. Even just earlier today, we're going to show you some of the stuff we've been making, but I think I've seen you do it too, where you take the finished yarn and I just put my face in it. We do that all the time.
Yeah, you can't help it.
You want it on your your nose a little bit or your lips.
And we're not wearing any makeup for that. We're clean. And this is what we're going to show you a little bit is just that.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think the article it's short and sweet and just it's interesting. And the other one that it reminded me of is I just finished reading Worn, A People's History of Clothing by Sophie Tannhauser.
Oh yeah, you talked to me about this.
Yeah, she's actually, I think she's a Vermonter as well. I didn't know that when I picked her book up, and I'd like to do maybe a longer discussion of this, but just wanted to throw that out there if people like the article. That book sort of goes into the history of not just, yarn and wool, but the entire textile industry. It's a lot about, the havoc the fashion industry is wreaking on the world, and especially with an eye towards, women and minority groups, and it's interesting.
Oh. Well,
So-
if we're going to have a discussion, I have to have read it.
That's why I'm
Right.
saying we're not having a discussion
Okay.
now. I'm just suggesting it to my readers. Maybe you would also be interested.
Did you do a ebook or would you? Was
I
it
did
hardcover?
a hardcover book.
Can I borrow it?
Absolutely.
Great.
I'll
Then
bring
I
it
will
tomorrow.
read it. There we go. And I think I might try out the Unraveling as well.
Yeah.
We have a really fun person we're going to introduce you to.
Yeah.
Her name is Ginny Prince, and we got to know Ginny a couple years ago.
Yeah, you were the one who brought Ginny into our lives.
Right, and I think I might have through the shearer, the shearer Gwen Hinman, I think might have connected us. She's over in New Hampshire, and she is, we want to introduce you to you. Please meet Ginny Prince.
Well, so my name's Ginny Prince. I'm a veterinarian, and I moved to Cornish in 1986, and we had a place that was a mess, and it was such a mess that my horse broke his leg there, and I wanted to have some livestock, and decided that sheep were the thing, and they would be great for land reclamation. So I got 3 Hampshire ewes in about 1988 or 89. And then a couple years later got a ram, very nondescript ram, and gradually increased my numbers to about 6, had 6 sheep for a long time. Once our land was improved and had been stumped out and everything, kind of gradually increased my numbers. Then in 1999 is when I got a border collie, and things just started being more and more fun then. And friend of mine who has Tunis sheep, 4-H sheep, he said to me one day, he said, "Do you have a crook?" And I said, "Yeah, I got a couple of them." And they go, "Oh, we just got a crook. We don't know how we had sheep without a crook before." And I said, "Well, that's how I feel about my dogs." But anyway, that's the scoop. Now I'm overwintering about 20 sheep, and have kind of morphed into North Country Cheviots because I like a lot of their qualities. They're hardy. They're good mothers. Partly that's because of the ones that I have kept, I've selected for. Pleasant. They do appear to have good wool. I'm learning more and more about, the qualities of wool. They are good grazers. The lambs grow well, and they are also good for training sheepdogs because they encourage mutual respect. Some sheep are very, very, very flighty and they just run off and the dog hardly has to do anything, and the dog doesn't learn to understand sheep then. And some like say Hampshires just won't move, and that's frustrating for the dog. And some of the wool breeds don't flock very well, so they're difficult to move easily. And the North Country Cheviots are good middle ground. They're all important, and it's quite a triad because I like the sheep. They're very pleasant. I find it very soothing to be around them. They are very good for the land when they're managed correctly. But of course, I love the dogs. And with the border collies, if I didn't have sheep, I couldn't have young border collies because they thrive on that learning how to work with sheep and with me. So I'd have to say it's all pretty equal, I think. Sure. So the first year you guys got some wool from me, you brought the first yarn back, and you were all excited to show it to me, and I'm like, wow. I mean, even I can tell that's really nice yarn. I'd like to get a sweater made out of that. And so we got the 3 colors, the 3 natural colors, because I have sheep, that are white, and I have sheep that are kind of this very dark brown, and I have ones that end up being gray. And so I got the yarn and commissioned the sweater by a friend of a friend. So pretty proud of it. Pretty happy with it. This was the fleece that was too big to fit in one bag.
She's awesome.
She really is.
She
really
does.
is.
She just really puts her heart into caring for her flock of animals, and she has these amazing sheepdogs.
Yeah, it's really all about the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But we feel very fortunate that we get to work with her wool.
Yes.
And that's a heck of a sweater.
Yeah.
So should we talk about what's going on in the mill?
Let's talk about it.
So we're not touring equipment, and we will get back to it. And the next thing up there is the spinner, but we just haven't really put the time together to do it. But we do have a little critical piece of equipment. This is a very worn brass, do we think?
Yep.
Brass wire brush that it's just, as you can see, it's just worn down beyond reason.
It's got about like a millimeter left of bristles
on the one
top.
end, right? And this came from the mill that we bought, so this was one of the tools that we were given, and so now we've been working with it for 2 years. But let me assure you, when we got it 2 years ago, it looked like hell. So
It at least had bristles that were roughly the same length.
okay.
Of them.
But it's been hard as all get out to try and source it.
And what we use it for is to clean off. There's some brushes that it helps remove wool from. So the one that goes under the pin drafter roller that prevents fiber from wrapping around, that gets sort of just brushed off with it. And then it's also very helpful for the spinner. Some of the back rollers, they're metal. They've got these little grooves in them, which helps to pull the fiber down and draft it apart. But when we're working with especially local wool, some of that has maybe a little bit of residual grease or something on it.
Right.
It can build up. And so this brush will help us to sort of
and
clean those off.
And that's why you really need the wire, is that it will do it. But you've been trying to source this for quite a while.
It was a nightmare to source, yes.
But once you did, let's not do one in case it gets too hard. We got 6 of these, right?
Yeah.
So this is the original.
We think.
Well, pretty close. The shape is the same. It just needs a little softening around the edges. But
I'm guessing that will come with time.
Yeah.
Given another 10 years. But yes, we have 6, so we're in business for the next 60 years.
Yeah, it's before and after, if there ever was one. Anyway, it's the small things in life.
Oh,
I'm
so
thrilled
excited.
that we have this replaced.
Yes, me too.
So it's good. It's good. And we've been busy. We're just getting towards the end of trying to get all of our yarns made for making Traxpalooza and some solid colors. Do you want to show that, and then we'll show you a custom processing?
Yeah, we'll start with solid color. Mix it up. So this is our Montedale and Cheviot wool, locally sourced.
Right.
That is dyed in the wool, as they say, dyed before we process it.
Right.
And then, we spin it, so it's the same weight as our making tracks. It knits up really nicely with that. But it's the second batch of our green.
Yeah.
And so the lovely thing with that processing, dyeing the wool ahead of time, is that we get it all completely blended.
Yeah,
so
it's the uniform coloring. There's no pooling of the green anywhere. It's great.
And speaking of green,
this is really still my very favorite.
Yeah. This is in the clearing, which you've seen before on this Millcast, but we just have been, cranking out yarn. So this is one of our better sellers. So that one would look, there's low contrast. But
right.
These go.
Yeah, but if you did every other row.
Oh, that'd be so nice.
It'd be really gorgeous.
And then we've got Pebbles.
Yeah, Pebbles is back.
Pebbles is back. Pebbles is, are one of our 2 sort of neutrals in the Making Tracks line. So we've got sort of salmons and stones. We named it because it looks like stones in a river.
In a little river.
Pebbles.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
that's our
good.
yarn. And then, like we mentioned, we're finally doing some more
custom processing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is it it was just finished up on Friday. And earlier this morning, Amanda started to take it off the bobbin, so it hasn't been rinsed. But this is just spectacular. It's Blue-Faced Leicester Cormo is the breed, but it has 15% silk added to it as well. So there's a little bit of shine, but
it is heavenly
it is
soft.
Heavenly. It is so soft, and the shine from the maybe a little bit from the Blue-Faced Leicester, but really the 15% of silk. It is beyond yummy. And now, when this gets rinsed, it will puff up. It has to puff up some because of that Cormo. But this is another example. Like when she comes to pick it up,
I'm like, can I just have enough to knit like a little
Yeah,
sweater?
just a scarf maybe. Yeah, this is really,
And
really
we spun
yummy.
this is about 1,000 yards per pound. It actually,
Right.
it's a, about like a DK weight, I would say.
Yeah.
Looks similar to the stuff we've been
Yeah,
doing.
but man, just completely knockout.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That looks so nice.
very nice, very nice.
And we've got some really nice fin coming through the mill right now too.
Yeah,
So hopefully
yeah.
we'll have that to show you.
Yeah, we've got some
soon.
fin and then Paul is coming up. Yeah, we've got a lot of custom processing we're about to tackle.
Yes.
So it's good.
Yes.
It's good. What are you knitting? Oh, but you've already teased that you're finished.
I
Yeah.
think we need a special sound bite. Maybe I'll find something to throw in, like a do 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 do.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, we need the kazoo.
I finished
We
something.
need the kazoo.
There's a finished knit item
Oh
here.
my goodness. Oh,
Ta-da!
adorable. Look at you. Have you nailed the tassel?
Oh, this is my first tassel.
Oh, you didn't do one for the
Not yet.
Oh,
the
I see.
stocking is
Okay.
not a finished item.
Oh, okay. All right.
That only got partially finished. So, yeah, this is the
I didn't realize-
Alaskan pullover, and the cord is kind of interesting. It's just like making a hank. We were just twisting.
Yep.
So I put one piece of yarn on a doorknob. I took the two ends together, so it's folded in half,
Yep.
right? And then you just twist until you get a lot of tension in there. And then you fold it in half and let it twist
and
back
then
on
let it
itself.
yeah.
And then that's the cord. So that was much easier than I anticipated. It's not an
Really,
I cord, it's
really
just a
cute.
twisted. And
Oh, man.
I put it on Maeve. I will be throwing in a video here so you can
All
see.
right.
At first I made
All right.
the cord much longer, so that's what you're seeing. And she definitely liked playing with the tassels as expected. I don't know if the tassels will last through her curiosity, but for now they look really cute.
Adorable. Wow.
So I'm finished.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well
And
done.
I know I complained about this one before because it was, I don't know, not sparking joy, but seeing her wearing it, I'm like, that's so cute.
It's really cute. It's
What are
really
you
cute.
knitting?
So I'm still on it. I'm making progress. I have a picture as well. Poor Todd. I started this morning. I said, "Could you change and put a shirt on so I can have you try this?" He's like, can I finish my coffee? I was like, not really. I need you to take this picture.
Hey, you're knitting him a sweater. It's the least.
Oh
you
yeah,
can
no,
do.
he was fine. Let's see, the top. So where am I at? I'm at the bottom.
Okay.
All right.
So have you started sleeves?
Yes, I have. Here's a sleeve. Sorry, he took it off and I didn't really straighten it out. So there it is to the bottom. I've got my 2 inches
Nice.
down here, and I've got a sleeve started right here. So I've got about maybe 4 inches going on the sleeve.
Nice.
And it's funny. I have the same kind of knitting system you have that I can't pronounce it either.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh well, I bought deliberately a short one so that I could do the
Sleeves, yeah.
sleeves. Pain in the neck.
To do with the short one?
Yeah. So I just went back to my long, and I think it's kind
Are
of the
you
magic
using
loop
the,
concept where
interchangeables?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I just I slide this out,
Yeah.
and then I can keep going, and I find that easier than doing double pointed needles for the whole sleeve.
You know what I've been doing with these, I don't know, for like really small circumferences, is like putting my loop on on the end here so that I can just knit around the whole thing, and then I sort of slide it all over and put that loop again instead of splitting it in half.
I may need a demo because I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah,
But,
we're not
okay.
here to do demos.
Yeah, no. Anyway, I'm making progress on this. I'm still deciding whether or not I want to dye it.
I love the silver.
Yeah, I might. We'll see. We'll see. There's
So
always
you
a
would
gamble.
you would dye it as a finished garment.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Interesting. I would be so worried it'd pool.
There is that risk.
Yeah.
But so I probably won't. But I think about it.
Yeah. Well, what does Todd think about the color? I guess that's what matters.
Oh, Todd's very good. He's like, whatever you think, Peg. Yeah, he is not. No. I think when it's done, I may say to him, hey, what would you think if I tried dyeing it?
Yeah.
And if I did dye it, I'd want to do it a kind of a green.
Okay.
To be honest with you, what I thought about is taking this recipe of green,
Yeah.
which is over white, and seeing what happened if it dyed over the gray, because the gray actually has a blue to it, so
Yeah.
it would darken this up a little bit. And Todd has kind of green eyes, and it might be
be neat.
neat.
Yeah, and we talked about, which you'll probably see, is experimenting with dyeing over this fiber if we added a little bit of black,
Right.
like into the fiber mix, just straight up black to give it that sort of
Slightly
heather
darker,
gray.
right?
We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see.
But in the meantime,
Yeah, we got some great comments.
Yeah, we're a new section to the Millcast is
Yeah, and it's so great of you guys to take the time to,
write us some thoughtful
write
comments.
us some thoughtful comments.
Yeah, so I'll just read a couple of them because I think you'll all be interested in them. But this is on the purling technique, which we discussed the last couple of times. We have a few more comments. So this one is from Helen EK228. There are 2 YouTube videos for this alternate purling technique that might help. 10 rows a day, Eastern Russian knitting, how to purl stitches, and Sandy Hawaii's Russian speed knitting purl stitch. For both, you keep the yarn in the front. For Norwegian purl, the yarn is in the back, which makes ribbing more efficient since you're not moving the yarn back and forth from front to back. If you ever take an in-person Norwegian knit and purl class with Arnie and Carlos, when you get to purling, they'll walk around the room helping people, but you'll hear a mantra of finger down for all the continental knitting.
Yeah.
So we'll link to both of those videos in the comments, but definitely worth checking out. And then, Peggy, do you want to read this one?
This one says, am I starting here?
Yeah, just...
Oh, Peggy, I learned continental from my mom, and we do a Russian purl or Swedish, go figure. It results in your stitch sitting twisted on the needle, but all you need to do is work it through the leg closest to the tip on the next row. She says, Google it. I think you'll like it. Much less movement for your wrist, finger, and faster. That's from blah blah 13625. I love the name, blah blah.
And then in regards to swatching, when you're trying all these new methods, Freaky Geek says, in regards to swatching, to try different knitting methods, you could make socks or a hat, that way make it functional.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea, although I have found the socks I knit take way too much time. I probably wouldn't. Gotta go with chunkier socks.
Yeah, but a hat's a good idea.
Hat's a great idea.
cowl.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the comments.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
And we'll keep reading and responding, so drop us a line.
Inspiring.
Yeah. What's next for us?
I head down to Boston on Saturday because on Sunday they're bringing back the New England Farm and Fiber Festival. This is Taproot, the magazine, and Tammy White from Wing and a Prayer have brought it back. I think there's about 24 or 28 vendors will be in the Boston Public Market that's right in downtown Boston, about a block or so off of Faneuil Hall. And it's from 10 to 5 o'clock. And I think there's going to be a little presentation that Junction Fiber Mill is going to participate in. So come on down, come find us, and we'd love to see you.
Yes, we would. And then next week we go to New York.
Yeah, then drum roll.
So we'll report, we'll give you more, I don't know, exciting information about that next week, and certainly report back the week after that.
Absolutely. But in the meantime, hopefully we'll see you in Boston, and enjoy your week.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.